I've been buying Tom Ford fragrances since the beginning of my collections, and I'm sure most of you guys, whether you just started your collection or you've been collecting for quite some time, Tom Ford has always been fragrances that are A, loved, B, expensive as shit, and C, fragrances that a lot of people give attention and like because some of them are actually pretty good. Today I'm going to be giving you guys my favorite Tom Ford fragrances, starting things off with a couple of honorable mentions because they're not available, and this one is a damn shame that it's not available because it's super intoxicating in my opinion. It is slightly animalistic, but as my nose has developed and I've gotten many more fragrances and niche fragrances, especially in the realm of oud, I realized that it's not as animalistic as I thought it was once upon a time. This has whiskey, tobacco, incense, some resins. It's like this warm, spicy tobacco scent profile with oud. It lasts pretty much the entire day and I freaking love it. It's unfortunately no longer created, but it is what it is. Next one is called Bois Marocain. So it's a very woody fragrance, hence the name Bois. This has sandalwood, vetiver, patchouli, a lot of peppers, some cedar wood, and some citrus at the top. I get this very amber style scent profile, almost like this olibanum or something like that. That's not listed in the notes, at least per Fragrantica. But what you end up with is this very fresh, spicy, powdery sandalwood, vetiver, patchouli. It's very woods forward. It's not going to be for everybody because it does have a relatively balsamic undertone to it. The vetiver is pretty intense, all of the woody aspects. This is honestly one of the best woods-centric fragrance that I have in my collection. It's polarizing, it's not a safe blind buy, but it is a really good one. It kind of smells like blonde woods, almost literally like the juice color. Pretty intense, very woody. It's not going to be for everybody, but I think it's actually really good. Next one is going to be an honorable mention as well. It's Oud Wood. I really didn't enjoy this fragrance for a long time because of the oud that's in here. It's not really anything that's a true oud fragrance. It's more so oud melaki, which is a synthetic that's used to recreate the accord of oud. It's a safe Western oud fragrance that's pretty camphorous, spiced with this cardamom, which is pretty sexy. And one of the biggest reasons I didn't buy it is because of Tamin's carved oud. It smells like a more intensive or a more niche version of something like Oud Wood. So if you enjoy Oud Wood, or if you're thinking about it, go for Tamin's carved oud. I do plan on grabbing it for the collection's sake, but if I had to pick time and time again, I'd pick carved oud. It has a little bit more cardamom, the musk and the woodsy quality seems a little bit more higher quality, and the longevity on that one is also better. Oud Wood, does it still smell good? While it might not have been my favorite, it definitely does smell good, and I've smelled it in the air and I've complimented it numerous times. But being worthy of like my all-time favorites, I would say not, and now we're going to be jumping into the all-time favorites, and one of the more affordable ones is Tom Ford's Noir Extreme. Even stacking it up against some of the private lines, Tom Ford Noir Extreme is still, to date, one of the best ones. It's got this spiced vanilla ice cream that's relatively oriental. I mean, it's pretty oriental. It's inspired by the kulfi, which is an Indian ice cream that you can also find in the Middle East that we eat on a regular basis. It's spiced like cardamom, maybe even some cloves occasionally, but for the most part, it's going to also be coated or garnished with some kind of pistachio, etc. So it smells like that and some. Super sexy for date nights and just this oriental exotic vibe that I get anytime I rock this. I was pretty impressed when I first got my nose on this one, how oriental it went, vanillic, sexy, and for it to get as much clout as it basically does. And to this day, it's still worthy of exactly that. They then released the Parfum version, which is also worthy of being on this list. And for those of you who want to tone down the oriental spice. So if you like the way that sounds, but oriental might be a little challenging for you, the Parfum might actually solve that. Toning down some of the spices, making the ambers shine a little bit more towards the vanillic side of things and less towards the spice, and a bit easier to wear for those of you who are looking for a denser, richer, and quieter scent profile. I still would say that I prefer the original because I do enjoy that standing out of the spice, but the Parfum is still really good. Longevity for both of these are outstanding and hands down one of the best ones you can get from Tom Ford. Moving on to the next one is Neroli Portofino. A very good reason that it was popular is because this has that very refreshing and fresh floral, white floral style of DNA that kind of reminds me of just clean linens. But it also has like green undertones and it also has bad longevity. So for the price for Neroli Portofino, I would not say that it's worth it, but the scent profile itself is pretty good. I will say though that sometimes I can squeeze about 6 to 7 hours if I end up overspraying this one of at least 10 times. But as it starts to transition within like hour 2, the green undertones of the Neroli, the white floral, starts to show itself. So it kind of has like this clean, soapy vibe with that green undertone. And once the green undertones start to reveal, I don't really enjoy it as much. The opening is everything with this fragrance. The longevity is everything it's not about. Moving on to the next one is called Tobacco Vanille. Tobacco Vanille is one of the sexiest fragrances and it was revolutionary, at least in the realm of, niche, or I should say the private label. This one inspired a lot of scent profiles, not just of cheapies, just in general, even other niche fragrances that started to kind of play around with the note of tobacco. And for that reason, it's absolutely one of the ones that are worthy of the pickup. It's just not going to be the most projecting. Long lasting, yes, I at least spray this 8 times whenever I rock it, up to 12 times, and then I'll get some kind of longevity. But even then, it's still not the best performing. Considering the facts and the price, you would expect a little bit more, but the scent profile is absolutely worth it. So if you're looking at Tom Ford's, it's still worthy, it's still on this list, and even is Neroli Portofino. I just wanted to communicate that I do have to spray these on a little bit heavier. With the other two, I did not say that because that's not the case, and neither with the other honorable mentions as well. Moving on to the next one, this is called Ebène Fumé, and I was absolutely in love with this one. This is Holy Temple vibes. It's got Palo Santo incense, a little bit of peppers, extremely unisex, and this just screams home for me. It doesn't necessarily have like this incensey or oudi vibe. It's incensey in like the Holy Temple campfire way. It's not gonna be as smoky as a campfire, but it's like very clean woods, mild incense, and some peppers. Dry, easy to wear on its own, or even layerable. I think that this is a phenomenal scent profile that can be used as a base, as a layering, and extremely unisex. This one does last almost the entire day. I spray it on pretty happily. The quality for all of these make it very wearable. And with the private line, you can sense the upgrade in the premiums of the scent profile. Moving on to the next one, it's called Soleil Brulant. And Soleil Brulant is probably one of the most underrated Tom Ford scent profiles. And this is the epitome of honey and orange flower fragrances. It's honey and orange flower at the heart, which is mainly what this fragrance is about. And as it starts to dry down, it's backed up with even more of this vanillic style of resins. Opening up with some citruses, a little bit of peppers, and oh my God, that orange flower and honey projection is phenomenal. So if you guys think about orange flower in the last year of 2024 and 2025, it's become pretty much a trend. And I've always found that note to be addicting, compliment worthy, and very projecting in the way that it's used, especially depending on its dosage. This has gotten me so many compliments, and it only got backed up with that theory, or my theory was only backed up with the orange flower, with fragrances like Altair, which uses orange flower and vanilla, and then also fragrances like Myself, which uses it in the fresher realm. If you're looking for one of the most ambery takes on that DNA, Soleil Brulant is going to be exactly that. Underrated. I love this scent profile, and it lasts the entire day. It's not going to be for everybody. It kind of quite literally smells like black honey. So if you have any experience with like the different types of honey, and being from Yemen, we have some of the best honeys in the world, like cave honey, etc. This one smells like a tarry black honey, almost a natural recreation of exactly that. Next one is called Mandarino di Amalfi, and this is inspired by the coast, or the Amalfi coast. Fresh, aromatic, so damn good, but the performance, man, is just sucks. It kind of gives me wine cooler vibes, being in Greece, and just fresh and fun and uplifting, honestly. The only issue with this one, like I said, is that you're going to have to spray this one at least 8 to 14 times, and then after that, you will get like 5 to 6, maybe 7 hours. But not many people are complaining when it comes to like Louis Vuitton fragrances having to do the same exact thing with Afternoon Swim and only getting about like 2 to 3 hours. This one will outlast Afternoon Swim, and it smells really good. It's different. It's not for everybody because it does have certain astringencies coming from notes like vetiver, etc. But I think it's very crisp, refreshing, and one of the best summer fragrances to this day. Soleil de Feu is also underrated. This is a very, very addicting scent profile that's powdery, vanillic, and also white floral. It's got tuberose, amber, benzoin, and sandalwood. So it also gives me like this slightly nutty vibe. It's strange, it's addicting, it's unusual, but it's in every good way. That powdery sandalwood is extremely intoxicating, and I cannot stop sniffing this scent profile. It's extremely unisex. I personally love it, and if I had to go for the second best one from the Soleil lineup, it would be this. Both of these are pretty polarizing. They're very intense, so they're not as safe as Soleil de Blanc or Eau de Soleil. So if you're looking for intense scent profiles, these are the best ones from that lineup. The other ones are good, they are, but in my opinion, not the best. Next one is called Cherry Smoke. The original cherry or Lost Cherry, I'm not that much of a fan of, or it could potentially just be that I got over it. I still think that it's a really good scent profile, one of the best cherries, period, but Cherry Smoke takes the cake for me. Reason being, it's a lot more unisex. It's got cherry, saffron, a lot of woods, and some incense. Very nicely balanced and blended, and this is a cherry fragrance that I can rock, she can rock, you can rock, literally the whole block can rock Cherry Smoke, and it smells really good. I personally detect this sandalwood style of scent that's a little bit powdery as well, and overall it's this very smooth, refined, and sexy cherry fragrance. The original is good too, don't get it twisted, but I do find it to lean very much so feminine than this one. Check this one out, and I personally think that this is much, much better. And other than that, the longevity for most of these, including the last two that I mentioned, are almost the entire day, 8 to 9, even 10 hours. Soleil de Blanc is not going anywhere for the entire day either. Last but not least is super underrated as well, and more recently they have been getting underrated, and it could potentially be because A, they're not doing any marketing, and B, not many people are enjoying the price tags coming from the private line. And it is what it is. I've been buying most of them that sound interesting, or I go and I sample it and I buy it anyway. So Myrrhe Mystery, this has to be one of the best resin-based fragrances that have released in the last year or two. But it might not be for everybody, and hear me out. This is what you get with this fragrance. Is a very dark temple style of resins, which is gonna be from Myrrhe. You get a contrasting note of this powdery sandalwood and a relatively crisp absinthe, which seems pretty aromatic as well. So something crisp crisp, something warm, ambery, and powdery and woody with a vanillic undertone. That's it. It is simple, but it's contrasting, and because of that, it's addicting. It's not one-dimensional, although simple in its dimensions, still smells outstanding. If you like resin-based fragrances, you absolutely should get your nose on this one. There's something light about it as well, more than likely from the inclusion of musk, and although they have the note of leather listed in this one, and it is there, it just seems like a supporting note to the myrrhe in itself. I love this stuff. And if you like resin fragrances, you should definitely get your nose on it. If you like Ebène Fumé, check that one out for sure. And these lately have been the best Tom Ford fragrances, except for one more, which I can't believe I almost forgot. Eau de Ombre Leather. This is phenomenal. It's fresh, spicy, musky, suede, fuzzy in texture, and extremely projecting it. That really goes against what traditional eau de toilettes do. Projects, lasts, and oh my god, this is like a fresher take on YSL Baby Cat. It's their recreation. So suede, which is a leather, but it's fuzzy in texture. It's also fresher. It seems to have a lot of ambroxan, some spices to really get it projecting, and a vanillic undertone. Super sexy. One of the best ones you can grab right now. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. These are the best Tom Fords you can get today. Let me know down in the comment section which is your number one, and whether or not you've tried this new Tom Ford's Eau de Ombre Leather. I don't know about the name. It is what it is. My name is Neve. Thank you for tuning back in AROMATIX, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.